I do get customers that come in that way that thinks the monetary system is going to collapse. You need to have cash. You need to pay your bills. You can't have all your money in silver and gold. Don't be FOMO with the silver, with the gold.
Hey everybody, welcome back, and today I am happy to be able to bring you Keith from the Coin Crew once again. As you guys probably know, Keith is a coin dealer out of Muskegon, Michigan, and has a shop called the Coin Zone. He also runs a YouTube channel called Coin Crew right here on YouTube. Guys, go check him out if you haven't done so yet. And we're going to get him on talking about FOMO into gold and silver, about the doomsday scenario videos that you see on YouTube, and so much more. So let's get Keith in here and see what he has to say by welcoming him to the channel. My channel is sponsored by SDBullion.com. New customers can get their first order of gold or silver at spot by going to SDBullion.com/new. All right, guys, once again, I want to welcome back Keith from the Coin Crew to the channel. We had a great chat a couple of weeks ago, and if you haven't seen that video, I'm going to put a link down below. Keith has no idea what I'm about to ask him. This is a totally blind interview. He doesn't know what the topic is. Keith, I want to talk to you today about doom and gloom. There's a lot of YouTube videos out there that, talk about how you better have silver because the end of the world's going to be here and it's going to go to $1 million an ounce. And you know me, I don't think that way at all. In fact, I talk all the time in my channel about responsible stacking and making smart decisions with your money and not putting all of your money into silver or going out and taking a second mortgage on your house. Let me ask you a question. We're going to start with this. Do you get customers that walk through your shop that A, think that way, and B, does it come from watching YouTube videos like that?
Before I answer the question, you're like blind. I'm like, oh my, I was scared. I'm like, he's going to talk about something I know nothing about. But yes, I do get customers that come in that way that thinks the monetary system is going to collapse. They think, oh, I got to get silver because I'm not going to be able to buy nothing if I don't. I recently done a video just touching on that subject of 3 things you should do. But yeah, them customers, some of them just think the world's going to end tomorrow.
What do they say where they get that thought process from? I'm just curious.
Should I say?
Yeah, please.
Most of them say YouTube.
Really? And I believe it. And there's a lot, so in my opinion, there's a lot of great precious metals YouTubers. And I'm not even saying that the ones that are like, with the hyper excited, clickbait, the world's going to end, gold's going to be 5,000 ounce tubs. I'm not even saying that they're bad. I'm just saying that I really disagree with going about stacking silver that way. Now, I'll tell you this, and I'll tell the viewers this. I obviously, absolutely believe in stacking silver. And I'm not a big fan of our US dollar. I'm not. But I also don't think that I'm going to wake up tomorrow and the US dollar is no longer going to be important. And so for that reason, I make sure that I have a savings aside of, 6 months is what I like to do. Obviously, everyone has their own thing. But 6 months of living expenses all set aside and ready to go before I even think about investing. Now, let me ask you your opinion as a precious metals dealer. Do you think that it's important to keep cash as well as gold and silver? And if so, why?
I think it's very important to keep cash along with the gold and silver because it's an important part of trade today. However, I'm not a fan of the fiat either, but I do understand that you need, you said 6 months. I'm more like, give me a year because I'm a little bit more, I guess you couldn't say tedious. I tend to worry some a little bit more. They say my biggest fault is also my biggest, I guess you could say, succession or succeeding at stuff. Because I'm a Leo. And as I strive for things, and once I achieve it, I'm like, oh, my biggest fault comes along, which is the thing that makes me a success is I'm a Leo and I never have enough. So I go for a year. Some people say 2, but the financial advisors usually tell you 6 months to 2 years. You need to have cash. You need to pay your bills. You can't have all your money in silver and gold. Having said that, you still need silver and gold just in case. I'm not a fear monger. I don't believe, oh, you should go out and buy it. The world's ending. I'm a strong believer of not believing in that. I believe you should have your eggs. Your basket should always be a variety. I even believe in buying stocks, even as poorly as they have done. I still buy stocks because I believe in having a variety.
a variety of investments, and that totally makes sense. And I, as well, have investments in stocks. I'm not going to name. Well, I can name a few. No. I'll get into it.
Let's hear it.
I have shares in Tesla. I have shares in Amazon. I have shares in Microsoft right now. So obviously, tech and retail stocks is where I kind of like put my money into the stock market. But I think a lot of people look at gold and silver. So, and I've talked about this on the channel before. And again, I really want to not just hear from you, but I want to hear from your customers. Now, obviously, I can't talk to your customers, but you do. So I want to hear from you what they're saying. But I also have, along with those doom and gloomers, they also is that sect of YouTube and other, media formats as well, where they look at gold and silver as the next GameStop or the next AMC or the next Bitcoin, and they think they're going to wake up overnight rich. And I don't mean rich as in, oh, well, our dollar's worth so little that silver's worth $1 million just because the dollar's worth nothing, because at that point, silver's still worth what it was yesterday. But they literally, say, oh, silver should be $300, silver should be $500 an ounce. And my argument for that, and this is, we're interviewing you, and I feel bad that I'm dominating so much of this conversation. But my argument for that, and I want to hear from you, I'll let you in after that. My argument for that is never in the history of silver has it ever shown to be worth that much in goods and services. So if we look at silver going back into the 60s, we talk about the gallon of gas for a quarter, just like you can get a gallon of gas today for a silver quarter. We can't get 50 gallons of gas for a silver quarter, but a lot of these people believe silver should be so high that should be the case. So do you get people that believe that as well? And then what do you think?
Take a breath, slow down. You're talking a lot. I believe, I think silver is, solid investment. I do get people believing that silver should be more expensive. It should be $300, $400, $500 an ounce. And I sit there and I tell them, well, wait a minute, let's back up. You're stacking silver for the wrong reason if you think that's what should happen. And I tell them, buy it to preserve your wealth, because without preservation, it's really a wasted investment. Whatever you can buy today, you could buy 50 years ago, you could buy 50 years from now, that same item with that one silver quarter. So a lot of the customers, you have to back them up a little bit, and you have to say something to them to explain to them that that's not how it is. They're worried about the dollar. They're worried about the government. But the truth is, they should just worry about creating a variety. Don't be FOMO with the silver, with the gold, because that is the worst trap of all. And as far as a short squeeze, like the GameStop or whatever that theater was, AMC, as far as that is concerned, it'll never happen. There's too much silver out there.
Now, I don't think that silver is not undervalued. I mean, I think 25 is definitely lower than where I believe it should be, because, I mean, let's be honest, on top of the fact that silver, its value in trade for goods and services, but if you look at the increased industrial demand and usage of silver, especially in the last 10, 15 years with green energy and EVs and things like that, I mean, obviously, there's a greater industrial demand for silver than there was back then. So I certainly believe it's undervalued, but to the tune of $100 or $200, I just don't think so.
I think it's undervalued as well, and I think the tune of 100 to 200 or more is just too high. And I'm not one to like guesstimate, but if I had to put a number on it, and I'd have to say I would be comfortable. I'm not saying it's going to be worth it, but I would be comfortable buying silver in between 35 to 50. But whether it's going to get there, that's for all the analysts. I'm just a guy. I don't know. But I would be comfortable at that level.
Absolutely. And one thing I don't do on this channel is predict the price of silver or even attempt to do so, because well, I mean, let's be honest. You see all these guys, like you see articles on Kitco, like, oh, silver's going to do this or gold's going to do this. And you know what? A broken clock is right twice a day, right? I mean, eventually they're
more if you change the time.
But my point is eventually they're going to look smart, but at the end of the day, they don't know any more than anyone else does. They're taking educated guesses at best, but they don't actually know what's going to happen.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. I'm not trying to predict it. What I'm trying to say is that's where I would be comfortable with a purchase of it at.
And that makes sense. And I like to hear it put that way. It's a way that a lot of people don't put it. They say, oh, silver should be 35 or silver should be 50. But I like that you put it in. Look, I don't know what it should be, but I feel comfortable with it between 35 and 50. I really like that. That's a good way to say it.
I have no problem buying Silver, I mean, we buy some cool looking silver items and we're paying that 35 to 50 all day long. However, you know, the Silver Eagles is another story because that's not cool looking for the premium it's got.
Well, there's too many of them for that premium.
Yeah.
And I mean, I buy semi-numis, you know, all the time, but when you're going out to buy what I consider a collectible piece, a semi-numi, you're not buying it to add it to your stack. You're buying it to add it to your collection. Totally different thing.
Yeah, and those are the ones I don't mind paying up to $50 for. Sometimes even a little more, but I get a little edgy when I start paying more than 50, but I still will sometimes pay that. But as far as a $35 to $50 piece of silver, if I like it, I'm gonna buy it. I'm not worried about whether silver is $10 or $20. If I like it, that's the level I've established as my comfort zone.
And from a dealer's perspective, you know, you would be possibly buying more if it's something that you can resell. But from a stacker's perspective, how I like to look at things like that is you buy one, let's say there's this really, really cool piece that comes out. It's $50 for 1 ounce of silver, 60 for 1 ounce of silver, whatever. And you want it because it's really cool. And I personally am guilty of loving silver. I like to look at the different designs, the things that they do with it. So I've absolutely spent $60, $70, $80 an ounce or more even for one piece. But I buy one piece. And then you can lower the average of how much you spent on that 1 ounce of silver by buying, say, 20 buffaloes, and then you take what you paid for that one piece plus what you paid for the 20 buffaloes and divide it by 21, and now all of a sudden it looks like a little bit more level. You know what I mean? So
yeah, I do that type of thing all the time. I will buy that one expensive piece that I want to keep for myself, but I know other people want it, so I'll buy a couple extra and bring my costs down. I mean, that's just, you know, business 101.
Yeah, but Stacker 101, I mean, is
Stacker 101 is basically what you said. Buy that one nice piece and then buy some generics and try to flip them.
Or not even try and flip them, but I mean, if you look at the average, you know, you lower your cost average down. So if you're going to buy that $180 piece, buy 20 generics that you only pay.
Yeah, that would bring your cost way down. I mean, it's important that cost to average. They tell you that in all different aspects, especially in the stock market. Cost average. Your 401k cost average. It works. Even in the stacking community, it works. These guys that have been stacking for, let's only go back like 20 years. They were stacking 20 years, buying silver around $3 an ounce. And they keep buying it. And now they've paid as much as $50 an ounce. But if you go back and you cost average all their silver, they're probably somewhere in the $6 to $10 range.
That'd be a good place to be, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but they've got a bunch of it. I've got a bunch of it where I've paid 50, and I've got a bunch where I've paid 3, 4.
Right.
It's cost averaging, because not only am I a dealer, I'm a collector, I'm a stacker. I do it all.
Right. And there's nothing wrong with that, by the way. So we've actually talked about this before, but you know, I got many comments on our last video that we did together, and we had kind of touched on, you know, what would happen if silver hit $100 an ounce through normal trading. And, you know, I have a lot of people saying, well, if it gets to $100 an ounce through normal trading, it's because there's a demand for it. But let me propose this to you. And I think we kind of touched on it in that video. But, you know, in 1980, and I obviously I wasn't alive in 1980, but, you know, I've been to so many coin shows, talked to countless dealers. And the ones that I talked to that were actually around and in business back then talked about how there were lines of people out the door. Most of them were selling. So could you not imagine a scenario? And it's funny, this is kind of going to be covered in today's video that's coming out later today. Could you not imagine a scenario where silver gets so high that once again we see in the physical market more sellers than buyers, because the spot price is derived from futures contracts on the COMEX, which is mostly led by industrial demand, and the physical demand, the buying and selling in your shop, doesn't really affect that at all. So you could see silver hitting $100 an ounce, and tell me if I'm wrong, but you could possibly see maybe silver hitting $100 an ounce, but on the physical side, no one wants it and everyone's trying to sell and cash out. What are your thoughts on that? And what would you do in that situation as a dealer?
My thoughts on that are, I guess you could say, pretty simplistic. What you have to remember is the higher silver goes, the lower the physical demand will be. A lot of people don't understand that.
Now, do you know what the shops were buying silver for back then, like percentage of spot?
Well, back then it was a little bit different. We didn't have the internet, so to speak, where you could get online and see what it was. We had, it was similar to a fax. They call it a telefax. Never had figured out what it was, but it was like a matrix dot printer, and it kept going off. I myself, I I know it's not the phone number, but it is basically 1-800-KITCO. They were around back then, and I always dialed their number for Silver Spot.
Right, but I guess my point is, obviously the Silver Spot wasn't, you couldn't just look at it on a phone and see it every single second.
You couldn't. There was no way of knowing. What happened was it would come out in the morning, and these guys would take their silver and they would sell it by the morning's paper. So you had no way of knowing what they was paying for it, because they were getting telefaxes in up to the minute or hour or whatever hour fast that it worked. They were getting an up-to-date pricing, whereas you were selling off the morning paper.
Okay, and that totally makes sense. But let's just assume, based on that morning paper, so the morning paper says silver is $45. What percentage of that $45 would they pay?
You were lucky to get 40.
40%?
No, $40.
Okay.
You were lucky to get $40.
Okay. Because like I had dealers at these shows tell me 70 to 80% is what they were paying.
Well, yeah, but they were paying it off the morning paper. They weren't paying it off the actual spot, because what happened was the spot would go up through the day, they'd be buying it, and they'd be, getting on the telefax machine or whatever it was. Because I was a kid then, I didn't understand all the ways of connecting like I do now. But they would get on their equipment and they would sell it out as soon as they bought it to another dealer that's paying more. And at the end, we know who got stuck with all that silver.
Well, I guess that's pretty much all I wanted to cover now, but I do appreciate it. Did you have anything you wanted to add about what we talked about today?
I guess we covered everything. I mean, guys, don't get fooled by a FOMO style video. I mean, those videos are not what you need to be listening to. You need to be listening to videos or watching videos that give you objectives, give you choices. Say this could happen, but you don't think it's going to happen or whatever. Just don't fall into a FOMO trap. Again, I guess I could say thanks for watching for you. Thanks for watching.
All right. Well, I appreciate it, Keith. Thanks for joining me. Hope to have you on again, and we will talk soon. Absolutely. So it was definitely good to have Keith on the channel once again, and it's great to get insight from someone who's been into the industry for so long. So once again, Keith, thank you for being here if you're watching this. And to you guys out there, thank you for watching as well. I definitely appreciate you guys being here and helping support the channel. Do me a favor, don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't done so yet, and check out this video up here, which is the last interview I did with Keith not long ago. We will see you in the next video.